beautiful people, welcome to day 20 of the 30 days immigration question and answer series. My name is Wolo. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant based in New Brunswick, Canada. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and give me the like button. Whenever I create a video, you'll be the first to know. Okay, so we are getting close to the finish line. It's just 10 days to the end of this year, and I'm excited that we are almost getting to the end of this year. So let me not waste too much of your time. I will start with the first question. And the first question is for the FCIC pathway. For those who don't know, FCIC is the French Community Immigration Class, which is one of the new pathways that was announced sometime last week. So for the FCIC pathway, how to approach the designated employers. If I have NCLC 5 in French, can employers hire from outside of Canada without any fees or LMIA? These details are not given. Okay, so I left the link to the Gazette where the announcement was made and the details were provided. Number one, this pathway does not require LMIA. It's an LMIA exempt pathway. Is a pathway that is linked to permanent residency. All you need to get is a job offer. Now, if you ask me if your NCLC 5 in French can be accepted, yes, it can be accepted because the minimum language score is a CLB 4. That's the minimum language score, right? And depends on the job that you get. If the occupation is actually in demand, of course, because that's part of the requirement. There are categories of occupations that employers are looking for. So if your occupation is one of the occupations that the employers are looking for and you have the NCLC 5 in French, then you are good to go. Now, how to approach the designated employers? They have not announced the communities that will be participating in this program yet. The only thing I said on that video, which I'm going to link again so that you watch it again, is that I will look for all the French communities around Canada. So you can just start, seeing if there's a possibility of getting job offers in those communities. So like I mentioned, I am here to do the research for French communities in Canada because, I'm choked up for time. I have a lot of things that are actually demanding my time. But once I have the free time, I would do the research and publish it on the community tab so that you can get the details of all the French communities in Canada and the potential communities that might be participating in this particular immigration pathway. In summary, it is an LMIA exempt pathway, meaning LMIA is exempted. It's a pathway that is tied to PR, but the only requirement is you getting a job offer from a community that has been selected to participate in this pathway. They have not listed the communities yet. So that is my response to this question. I'll move on to question number 2. Please, ma, I have this question to ask you. There are a lot of visa denied in tourist visa. My friend wants to send me IV from Canada. Should he go ahead? Okay, so there's a potential for high visa refusals going forward based on what Canada has been seeing. And I've done this video where I mentioned that because of the number of people claiming asylum in Canada through visiting visa, they are going to limit the number of people that will get visiting visas. And if you don't have a direct relative, let's say a sibling, the potential of getting a visa approved, a visiting visa approved, the chances are slim. If your friend wants to invite you to Canada, your friend can go ahead and give you the invitation letter. You can go ahead and also apply. But the question you need to ask yourself is, do you meet the requirements of getting the visa approved? Like, what is your friend inviting you for? Is your friend inviting you for a birthday, for a celebration? Is there a reason why the friend is inviting you, or the friend is just saying you can come and visit Canada? And apart from that, do you have what it takes to get the visa? Do you have a travel history outside Canada? Do you have your proof of funds, or do you want to pad your accounts to meet up the proof of funds requirement? Do you have an established job offer? Do you have a business in your home country? So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. If you don't have strong ties or strong reasons to tell the visa officer that you are a genuine candidate for a visiting visa, then they will not approve the application. But if you ask me if you want to go ahead, I would say go ahead, but make sure that you meet all the requirements of getting the visa. So I'll move on to the third question, which is, what is the portal to apply for PMP without express entry? Okay, so I'll do a video demonstration of the PR portal, and I'll also leave the link on the description box of this video so that you can have access to it. If you want to search for it, just put PR portal login on your Google search or Microsoft Bing search, anyone, and you will get this here. This is it, canada.ca, right? And then you click on permanent residence portal. So it takes you to this place, permanent residence portal, and then you click on the permanent residence portal if you've already registered. If you have not registered, you can click here to create an account to register. But since I've already registered, there's no point clicking here, so I'll just click here, permanent residence portal. So this is the portal. So once you get here, you put your username, password, and then you click on sign in. I'm not going to sign in because my account has people's applications in it, and for confidentiality reasons, I am not going to sign in. Just to summarize, this is where you submit application for permanent residence if you have a provincial nomination and your provincial nomination is not tied to express entry. This is where you submit your application. For the Atlantic Immigration Pilot, this is also where you submit your application. For spousal sponsorships, this is where you submit your application. For the startup visa, business immigration pathway, this is where you submit your application. There are lots of applications that goes through this permanent residence portal, and it has nothing to do with express entry. I believe I have answered your question. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. So the fourth question is, thank you, Wolo. I've been following you for years, about 7 years. Please, what is your advice for a 31-year-old single man with masters residing in Nigeria, had low IELTS score, now considering the student pathway? So my best advice is this. With your low IELTS score, you can consider other options like the Atlantic Immigration Program, which requires you searching for a job, the French Community Immigration class, and the Rural Community Immigration class. Of course, these two pathways also require a job offer, but the requirement for IELTS is also very, very low. Now, since you mentioned that you're considering the student pathway, the provinces that I would recommend are the Atlantic provinces like New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia. I wouldn't recommend Prince Edward Island because, I mean, they have their own issues. So PEI, no. But New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Nova Scotia are 3 provinces I recommend for you if you want to study in Canada, because they have low tuition fees. They have an easy pathway to become a permanent resident. Now, the other provinces that I'll recommend, number 1, Manitoba. With Manitoba, one thing you should know is that it's a function of your occupation. There are occupations where they require a band 7, and then there are occupations where they require a band 5. So you have to target occupations that require a band 5 for you to be able to get Manitoba provincial nomination after studies. Because if you get an occupation that requires a band 7 and you're still struggling with the IELTS, it means that you will still not be able to get provincial nomination. So if you're considering the study pathway, like I said, Manitoba is another destination that you should look out for. You have the opportunity of choosing an occupation that requires only a band 5 for language scores. I'll move on to the next question, which is question number 5. Please, what is your advice for someone holding an IATA certificate from Canada if he's eligible to work in the aviation industry, considering his age status, 45 years and above? Moreover, securing a permanent residence as a family of 3. Do you know the cost? Okay, so with IATA certificates from Canada, I don't know what your occupation is. You're only mentioning the certificate. If you tell me what your occupation is, that would help me to give you an advice and tell you if your occupation is actually in demand or not in demand. Now, in terms of securing a permanent residence as a family of 3, like I said, I don't know your occupation and I don't know your educational qualifications for me to give you my best advice. In terms of the cost, there are various costs. The cost for Atlantic Immigration Program is different from the cost for caregiver pathway. The cost for the new immigration programs that they announced will also be different from the cost for other immigration programs. So I cannot give you a total figure. But what I would do is probably create a video to discuss the estimated cost one should plan for if you plan to immigrate to Canada in 2025. Okay, so I believe I've answered all these questions very well. Keep leaving your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on my YouTube live tomorrow.